Hey everybody, this is Tracy here for another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap Real Housewives of Atlanta Season 10, Episode 10, which was titled Storming Out. Before we get started with the video, I just want to ask you, if you watch my videos, follow the recaps, and haven't subscribed to my channel, if you could please go ahead and subscribe. It'll be greatly appreciated, and I would love your comments, get your feedback, what you're thinking about the shows that I'm recapping. You know, what's your point of view? Let's start conversation in the comments section. And if you haven't seen my video about small YouTubers, please go back and watch that video, and I'll put the link in the information section. Basically, effective February 20th, anyone with less than 1,000 subscribers will no longer be allowed to be a YouTube partner, which means that our videos will no longer be monetized. When you see the ads going by, we won't make any money off of that, and we will actually also lose all access to the tools that YouTube offers to their partners. So we won't be able to use any of the editing tools. We won't be able to use where, I don't know if you guys ever noticed, but every now and then there's like an information button that appears at the top, and it'll tell you like where you can go to our websites, that type of thing. It'll show you links to other videos that we've done, which basically helps get viewers over to some of our other videos. And then there's another button that pops up at the end of the video that gives you the option, you know, to remind you to subscribe to the channel. So we'll lose all access to all of those tools. We won't be able to, I think they said we can still use their creator tools, which is basically telling you how to build your channel, but we just won't be able to build the channel. And then once we reach 1,000 subscribers, then we can reapply to be a partner, but we basically have to start over from square one through that process. And so just really unfair. They said we have to have 4,000 worth of viewed hours. And I have that part of it. It's the 1,000 subscribers that I don't have. And then I also want to thank everyone who has subscribed to the channel since I made that video explaining to you guys what's going on. Your support is greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. So let's go ahead and get into the video. So the show opened up with Porsha, and she's talking about the Hosea Williams Feed the Hungry and the Homeless to help the people of Houston. So you guys know that back in, I think it was August, yeah, I think it was August, that there was this Hurricane Harvey came through Houston. There was massive flooding. People had to be evacuated. Shelters were overflowing. It was a time when everybody was coming for Joel Osteen because he didn't want to open up his church to be a shelter and all that stuff. So Porsha, you know, she's spearheading the nonprofit, you know, that's named after her grandfather, who was a civil rights activist. She's spearheading the efforts to go into Houston, and she's going to do an event where they're going to feed 400 people, as well as give away supplies and gift cards to the people. And so while she's talking to Lauren and the rest of her team about the event, Shamia calls. And so Shamia offers her assistance, you know, even though the two of them haven't talked since their big blow up at Shamia's was a bridal shower or bachelorette party, whichever one it was. So they haven't talked in a while, but Shamia is willing to let bygones be bygones for a worthy cause, and she wants to do, you know, if they need money, she can donate money. If they need boots on the ground, she's really willing to come to Houston And so Porsha is kind of feeling torn, like this is so weird, you know, that we haven't talked, but she's here offering her assistance. And so they did a flashback scene of when they were at the Imbella's place when they were doing that elephant party to rid themselves of these evil spirits. And Porsha had mentioned to the ladies that she was going to do this fundraiser and she wanted all of them to come. And so, you know, Bravo being Shady Bravo, they went to panning around the room and everybody looking and rolling their eyes. And basically nobody wanted to help Porsha with this event. But Cynthia spoke up and said, you know what, I'm going to be doing something that Friday before, and I'll be in town, and anything I can do to help you, I'll do it. So Porsha at least had Cynthia on her side, and then Shamia came through and said that she'd be there as well. So then we move over to Cynthia. So Cynthia and Kandi meet for dinner, and Kenya was invited to join them, but then she pulled a Nene from last week and text or called and said she wasn't coming, you know, because she had something else to do. So after they get off the phone with Kenya, Kandi wants to know what was up with the elephant party, and they both agreed that it was a hot mess, but they were both proud of Kenya for shutting Kim down. So I guess they didn't get Kim's memo that Kenya didn't shut her down, that she basically was ignoring Kenya and refusing to argue with Kenya. But they were happy, and they was like, kudos to Kenya for putting Kim in her place because we were afraid to. So Cynthia's going to Houston for Hurricane Harvey relief also. And Kandi says that she can't make it because she needs to spend time with her family. Now, I found it quite interesting that Kandi didn't have a party going on that escape tour. She didn't have a problem going to New York to do that Essence photo shoot. But when it actually comes to giving back to the community and helping people, all of a sudden she ain't got time for it. So she said that she donated $25,000 towards the effort, and they better be happy with that and go on about their business. So Cynthia says that if Porsha was willing to support her event, that she was willing to support Porsha's event, and that, you know, it's give and take, and that's what you do. So Kandi shows, you know, how petty she is by saying that no one wants to support Porsha. You know, and I thought it was so crazy that they can't put their petty differences aside to support a bigger issue, but they were all running behind Kenya a couple of episodes ago with that stupid domestic violence awareness PSA that she threw together because she was upset that Sheree had been asked to be the ambassador for the National Domestic Violence Coalition. But they will support that kind of nonsense. So as they're eating dinner, Kenya FaceTimes Cynthia, but she says that she can't, you know, support either event. She can't support Cynthia's event or Porsha's event, and even though she has family in the area, she got other things that she needs to be doing. So Porsha, Cynthia, Mel, and Lauren, you know, they end up in Houston together, and they go on a tour of the damaged areas, and they're just like really, you know, emotional about all the damage because, you know, it was mostly water damage. It wasn't like, you know, houses were torn down or anything. And what people had to do was basically get rid of all their carpet, their flooring, their furniture, because the flooding was way up, and companies are going in and they're replacing like the drywall and the flooring, and then people had to get new furniture. And I thought it was so interesting because if you guys watch Welcome to Sweetie Pies, they did a similar scene where they're driving through the neighborhoods and we get to see all the stuff that people have put outside their houses. And what I thought was interesting, even when the video was showing up on Facebook during the actual storm, was that we never get to see these bad parts of Houston. We only saw like subdivisions where these people look like they lived in really nice houses and probably have homeowners insurance that is going to cover all of that. Because I know in September when we were impacted by Hurricane Irma, you know, FEMA came in, they was distributing money left and right. They didn't give me any because they said that I had homeowners insurance, but my hurricane deductible on my home is almost $5,000. So any damage that I had, I wasn't going to take the risk of filing a claim with my homeowner's insurance to get the letter saying that I didn't meet the deductible and then risk them going up even higher on my insurance renewal, and thank God they had just renewed my insurance. My renewal was up, was August 8th. I mean, not August 8th, was October 8th, but they had just sent the renewal notice in August, so I didn't get an increase this year, well, a big increase this year, because they go up every year. But I just wasn't going to put myself in a situation where they said I had a claim. So FEMA is still calling me to this day, letting me know that I have up until a year to file a claim and that they'll pay for any damage. But I'm like, no, I'll get out there and fix my fence and pay somebody to cut these trees and all this stuff here. I'm not doing it. So when the ladies were driving through the neighborhood, they were actually on their way to a recreation center to help bag donations and do distributions to people that were in need. And Porsha, you know, of course, she's talking about her grandfather's legacy and why it's so important to her to give back. And so they started to talk about, you know, some of the people affected. And Porsha, you know, says that there was a period in her life where when they were growing up that they had nothing, like they were almost homeless, or they might have been homeless. But she said that had something like this happened to them, that they would not have survived because they didn't have nothing to start with. So Shamia eventually shows up, and Porsha's happy that she's there. You know, I'm glad they're able to work out their differences. And Porsha did a radio appearance for Dish Nation to explain why she was in Houston and all about, you know, what they were doing with the Hosea Foundation. And so Shamia and Lauren, they went to the radio station with her. And I really wish that she had given Cynthia a shout out too for the work that she was doing, because when they left the radio station, they were actually going to Cynthia's event. And then again, she may have talked about Cynthia's event and they just edited it out, you know, trying to be messy as Bravo is. So that evening, you know, the ladies go to Cynthia's benefit concert, and it wasn't anything elaborate or fancy. It looked like they rented out like a recreation center or some kind of, you know, like community center, and they, you know, wasn't no fancy linen and you know, buffet style food and everything. And I'm pointing that out because I'm going to get to something that Kenya said later on. It was just a community event to help raise money for people that were in need. So Cynthia called Porsha to, you know, to the stage to give her some shine and thank her for being there, and, you know, also to say that Porsha was doing something the following day. And so Porsha pledged $5,000 to the event. And in her confessional, Cynthia says that, you know, she was really surprised. She says because Porsha is usually a taker and not a giver. And I was kind of surprised by that comment because I never saw Porsha as a user or somebody that takes advantage of other people. So I didn't know where Cynthia was coming from with that comment. And so back at the hotel, Porsha and Shamia have a conversation, you know, about how they both were acting at Shamia's bridal shower / bachelorette party. I ain't figured out which one it was. I think it must have been the bridal shower, because I think coming up in future episodes we're actually going to see the bachelorette party take place. And so basically Shamia admits that, you know, Porsha may be right, because Porsha said that Shamia was showing out for Kandi and trying to embarrass her. And so, you know, Shamia said, okay, well, maybe I was. And then the two of them start playing around and rolling around in the bed and, you know, bond their friendship. And so I guess Porsha and Shamia will rekindle their friendship until Kandi finds out about it. Then we move over to Sheree. So Prison Bae sure has a lot of time and a lot of minutes to be making phone calls. And I'm like, is he earning those minutes through working, or is Sheree paying for them? Because I think right now, like, it used to be a time that prisoners could just pick up the phone and call folks, and then you had to accept the collect call and pay for the call on your phone bill. But now I think that they have to have minutes that they've earned to do this. At least that's how it is in federal prison. But anyway, Prison Bae back on the phone again. So Tyrone trying to get all the dirt on the ladies. Like, what man calls his woman to gossip about other women, to be asking her, so what them heifers done had to say about me this time? But that is what Tyrone wanted. And I guess he's going to be vying for a peach when he gets out. But he need to talk to Peter, because Peter ain't got a peach yet. But Tyrone said that Nene need not come for him because he knows too much about her past. for her to be trying to come out at him. And then we find out that before Sheree met Tyrone, that evidently Nene already knew him, but Nene was trying to get with him. But I guess the two of them, like Nene wasn't his type, I guess is what was going on. And I'm just thinking, do y'all really want to comfort Nene like that? Because we be like got all the dirt, all the tea on Mr. Tyrone, and that might interfere with his, I can't even think of the word of what he's trying to get, but basically where they reduce his sentence or either throw the case out against him. Appeal. Lord Jesus, what's wrong with me? So he needs to chill out before Nene went down there to the police station and told what she know about him, and then that interferes with him getting his appeal. So then we had a short scene with Kandi, and Kandi is with Riley, and Riley has her learner's permit, and so instead of going to Houston, Kandi is giving Riley some driver's lessons. That's what was so important that she needed to stay home and do. So Riley wants to know if she can start driving to school, but Kandi tells her, no, you cannot. Like, it is too much traffic, too much going on for me to risk you being out there on the road and don't have no driver's license, no insurance or anything else. So Kandi says that Riley has already said that the second she turns 18, she is up out of there because she ain't going to be their live-in nanny taking care of Ace while they be gallivanting all over the country and to parties and up there to the old lady gang. But Kandi said that in order for her to move out, she got to have some money. So I guess Kandi not going to get the girl no money in order to keep her at home, and probably ain't going to let her go away to college, tell her she needs to go on over to the Spelman or somewhere and still live at home. So while I think they had just finished up with their driving lesson when Block calls. So why has he made another child when he wasn't a good father to the one he already had? But Block and his woman then had a baby, and it's a little boy, and his name is King. So now Riley got to deal with an Ace, and she got to deal with a King. So then Kandi has him on speakerphone, and he's like, well, where's Riley at? And she goes, oh, she's standing right here. So, you know, Riley get to making all them faces and acting like she a little touched and special and don't want to talk and acting like she's shy. And I'm just like, girl, you are too old to be acting like this. So when he gets off the phone and they're going in the house, Kandi is walking behind Riley, and then she's like, Riley, are you crying? Like, what are you crying for? And then I guess Riley got really emotional, and so Kandi had to tell the producers to stop filming and to turn the microphones off so she could figure out what was wrong with Riley. So then Kandi goes to visit Block to let him know, you know, that Riley is feeling some kind of way. And I'm thinking Riley is upset that she done been here all this time, has never had like her parents' complete attention, because although Kandi is providing for her financially and giving her this nice home to live in, a nice car to drive, when kids look back over their life, they're not looking at the material things that you provided for them. They're looking at the way you made them feel, whether they feel loved and wanted, and whether you were there for the most important moments of their life. So Riley is probably feeling like, okay, my mama done met this man. It used to be me and my mama. Now she has Todd, so I got to contend with Todd and him taking time away from me. Then they turn around and have a baby together, and now that's more time that's taken away from me. Plus add in the fact that Todd has a daughter that comes to visit, so she's taking more time away from me. My mom done went on tour. So all this stuff is probably going on in Riley's mind. Then her dad, who has begged to be back in her life and rekindle their relationship, now he has had a baby from his wife and talking about the king and all of this stuff. So, and then she's at that age anyway where she's all emotional. She's 15 years old. So that's what I'm thinking the issue is that she feels like she's just steady getting pushed out of the way while her parents have started these new lives with these new babies. But Kandi say that the reason she was crying was because she wants to prepare herself for when Block calls, and that she would rather know, like, oh, he's going to call at 1 o'clock so she can get herself emotionally prepared, opposed to him just picking up the phone and calling, and then she's on the spot and Kandi's forcing her to talk to him. Kandi, I'm not buying that at all. But Kandi suggests that they go to counseling, and Block agreed that that's something they can do, so they just got to work it out and figure out how they're going to set up these counseling sessions. So then we move over to Kenya Moore. So Kenya, like I said, she showed up at Cynthia's event when it was almost over, and after, you know, every Porsha, Lauren, and Shamia had left. And so the following day, we learned that she had signed on for a Habitat of Humanity rebuild project and decides to call the other ladies to invite them to come. Now, granted, Porsha's event was supposed to start at 12 o'clock, but Kenya's Habitat project that she done signed up for starts at 11 o'clock. And I'm just thinking, just being messy, being nasty, being low down, dirty, like she always is, and just causing a disruption when it didn't have to be one. So Kenya's throwing shade, saying that, you know, she is there to get in the trenches and not host a dinner or host a celebrity dinner. And I thought that was shade at Cynthia, and that's why I was saying put a pin in how I was describing the dinner that Cynthia put on, which just looked like a community dinner. Come as you are, do what you can to help out. But Kenya trying to make it seem like it was this big event at a, you know, a fancy hotel, and Cynthia has spent all this money to do this. And I'm just like, girl, are you for real? So I don't know why Kenya bothered to come. Well, we know why she came. She came to be a disruption. But anyway, so Porsha, you know, trying to be the bigger person, tells Shamia, well, hey, you know, since Kenya's here, you know, and I have my event and the time is too close together, how about you go to Kenya's event for a little while and then come over to support my event? And then that way, you know, I can say, well, I supported both events. So Shamia said she was down for that. You know, that was cool with her. So the following morning when they get downstairs outside of the hotel, Porsha learns that Cynthia has opted to support Kenya's event and may not have time to come support her, which I thought was low down and dirty of Cynthia. You know, so Porsha was hurt, but she was like, okay, you know, whatever. So then here this cow Kenya comes. They stand her, and she's talking about her husband so proud of her and the fact that she's willing to help people and give of herself. And I'm just like, Kenya, you needed some airtime. That's the only reason you're doing this. And aside from the fact that you're just dirty and nasty towards people. And she is just so rude to people. That is another thing that just, with her. So, you know, she was being rude to Cynthia, and then she was rude to Shamia when she signed up. Because, like, Cynthia, all they was doing was tearing out the drywall, which takes all of about 20 minutes to tear drywall out of a room, because I have torn drywall out before. It's not that hard to do. So Cynthia, you know, she was trying to she had gotten some cold water, and she was trying to pass the water out. And Kenya was talking down to her, talking about, it's not time for that. We got time for a break. We are here to work. We ain't here, you know, to be socializing. And we can get that water later on. And then when Shamia came, Shamia had called first to say that she was looking for the right house, because remember, they're working in a whole community of houses. And then Kenya was like, well, we're at this house, but you'll see, you know, ask one of the people out there where we're at. And so then when they got in, Shamia had said something. You know, she was trying to tell her, you know, Porsha came on behalf of Porsha. Kenya was cutting her off. And then when they were taking a break, Kenya didn't want to, you know, socialize. They were trying to put some stuff in a trash bag. And then she was basically telling Shamia, you know, that she wasn't putting the trash in the bag right, because Shamia was using her hands to put the stuff up. And Kenya was like, you should be using the shovel. I mean, just attitude at the yin yang. Kenya was carrying on terribly. The camera goes over to Porsha's event, and so she was prepared to feed, you know, 400 people, but way more people showed up, and so they ran out of food. And of course, she's panicking and getting really emotional and starting to cry and saying that, you know, she just wanted to do good, and how can she turn all these people away that, are there to eat, but then there were local restaurants that were donating food. And so another restaurant showed up with a whole bunch of food, and in the end, they were able to feed over 2,000 people. They were able to give out supplies and gift cards to the people so that they can go and get what they need. And I know there was one person they had given she won a $500 gift card that she can go, and buy toiletries and that type of things that she needed for her home. So after, both events were over with, all the ladies, except for Kenya, decided to get together for dinner. And then Lauren spoke up to let Cynthia know that she was very disappointed that her and Kenya didn't show up to Porsha's event. And so Cynthia, tries to make excuses, but Lauren isn't having it. She was like, you guys had said that you were going to be there with us, but as soon as Kenya showed up, everything changed, and I just don't think that that was right. It's supposed to be about friendship and sisterhood and doing good for the community, and then Porsha's like, oh my God. So she tries to make light of the situation, and calling Cynthia out. And so in her confessional, Cynthia says that Porsha should be happy that anyone is talking to her at this point. And I'm just like, why would anybody not be talking to Porsha? I mean, the issue was between Porsha and Kandi. It wasn't between Porsha and Cynthia and Kenya and Nene and Marlo and anybody else that's in the group. So why do they all feel the need to be taking on this burden? And even Kandi, in her make-believe anger, is still cordial and nice to Porsha when Porsha is around. She just talk about it behind her back, but at least she's not doing behavior that is disrupting the group the way that the other women are doing. So Shamia decides to give her 2 cents and talks about, how dismissive Kenya was when she came to when she came, arrived to help out on Porsha's behalf. And so it turns out that all they did was tear down the drywall in one room. So if that was the case, and it was like 4 of y'all in the room, y'all could have tore that room apart in all of, like I say, 20 minutes. And even if you put the drywall back up for the people, that still was like another 20 minutes, because it's not that hard to do. Y'all still had time to get to Porsha's event, which I'm sure lasted for several hours with that many people that they were trying to feed. So there was no reason that none of them showed up to Porsha's event. They were just being tacky and petty. Then all of a sudden, Kenya arrives to dinner, but she was so late that when she went up to the counter to order her food, the people told her that the kitchen was closed and that they weren't going to serve her. So when Kenya goes to sit down, Shamia decides to let her know how rude she is. But Kenya acting like, getting some ice water was more important, and kept talking over Shamia every time Shamia would try to talk. But then she would say, go on, I'm listening to you. And Shamia's like, no, you're not listening to me. You're being rude and disrespectful. So Kenya basically dismisses Shamia and tells her to get out her feelings because it isn't that serious. And so when the ladies don't back down and Cynthia, gets involved to try and let Kenya know that, yeah, you were kind of rude today, even though you didn't think you were being rude. And so when Kenya can't get Cynthia on her side, she gets dramatic as usual and goes into the bathroom where she has this major blow up and is talking about how all the women are stupid, that none of these women none of these bitches mean anything to me. This is why Mark doesn't want to come on the show, because he doesn't want to be bothered with them. And, the way they talk to me and talk down to me, they're going to do the same to him. I mean, she was just going off. So then the ladies decide, okay, enough is enough. It's been a long day. We get ready to go. So Porsha was like, you know what? Let me go to the bathroom and say goodbye to Kenya and make sure she's okay. So then Porsha gets up and goes to the bathroom. And so she's asking Kenya, Kenya, are you all right? Is everything okay? And then Kenya, I don't know what is wrong with her. So, she's telling the cameras, stop filming. This isn't for television. This isn't the time. And then the show, then it kind of went to black. And when they came back, you know, Kenya was storming out of the restaurant, and then Porsha was going over to let the other ladies know that, you know, she was in there, told the producers to stop filming. Like, I don't know what's wrong with her. So then Cynthia, you know, she goes outside, you know, to stop Kenya and make sure that she's okay. And so she's knocking on the window, you know, talk to me, talk to me. So Kenya rolls down the window, and then Cynthia, you know, is trying to understand why she's so upset. And Kenya's like, now it's not the time, now it's not the time. You know, then she rolls the window up in Cynthia's face as Cynthia is talking, and then tells the producer to drive off, or whoever it was that was driving the vehicle that she was in. But I just hope that Cynthia saw that scene and heard Kenya call them bitches and say that she don't like none of them and that they're all stupid, and so she can get her head from up Kenya's behind. So guys, that's it for me. If I missed anything, or if you want to add anything to the conversation, leave your comments below. Rate the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.